Now, I haven't been diagnosed yet, but I feel extremely confident. My sister was linking me videos about ADHD because she genuinely believes she has it, and it made so much sense because we used to just call her lazy when we were kids. Like, oh, she's just lazy. She would do stuff like she'd be playing her game or reading her book or whatever she's doing, and she would be downstairs, pretty close to the kitchen, and then she would call me from my room to come downstairs to get her a cup of water when she could just get up and get it.
I can make that real blood, you little punk.
What did you say?
What I meant to say was oodly doodly. We'll change that attitudely.
And it's like, it's not just lazy. At the time we thought it was, but it's deeper than that. And so once I started looking and seeing how many of my siblings and people had ADHD around me, then it was like, I had to Google. There's no way. Because my mother, I just had a conversation with her. I was like, I'm pretty sure you had it. And she was just like, oh, I know I did. My mother has 2 master's degrees, and she said, yeah, I never read any of the textbook. I would just pay attention in the class when they were speaking and make notes and things like that. But yeah, I did. I went and got both of my master's degrees without reading any textbook. And she was like, I just kind of look at maybe Cliff Notes because she just didn't have the discipline to read, I guess. I don't know.
Will host annual meeting of
And I remember when I was a child, and she said she first became a Christian. She started reading her Bible, and she would like read a line or two and then just jump to the end and be like, oh, go back up, jump to the end. And so she was like, it took her so long until it took just all force of will to decide, I'm going to read each individual word and I'm going to get to this chapter. And that was another thing, as I always said, I don't believe I had ADHD because if I want to do something, I can do it. If I decide, like, for example, if I'm not the most organized, but I decide today I'm going to organize, I'll do it. If I really, really want to do something. Through force of will, I can make myself do anything. Even the things that I normally struggle with. I can make myself check the mail. I can make myself get up and cook. I can do what I need to do, but it just takes so much willpower and determination. And that's part of the ADHD thing. Because for other people, it's just, oh, I need to do this, I'll go ahead and do it. For me, I have to it takes effort. I have to dedicate myself to, I'm gonna do it. Otherwise, I'll keep putting it off, making excuses. I made a post on Facebook about it a while ago, a couple years ago actually. Because I started realizing like some of my exes and stuff, they got very offended at my lack of responsiveness in like text messages. Because I hate text messages. I hate group text. I hate messages in general. I hate notifications. I hate it all.
We'll call you.
Did you have my numbers?
No, I mean, we'll call you. Like someone will call you.
I hate anything that's supposed to give me my attention, get my attention. I really do. I just hate those things. And so in text message right now, I have like 542 texts that aren't looked at, and notifications on my phone. I remember showing it to Knives and him saying, oh, that just stresses me out because it's just so many, and it's just so much of it is useless. And I'm just like, it's just useless information at this point. I think having a conversation and realizing that my friend in Vegas had it, that's when it just gave me the inspiration, because he's still doing well. He's still a good guy. All of my friends are really doing well and they're functional, but I just realized how much all of these things made sense. I just got off the phone with a longtime friend of mine since we were young teenagers. I won't say his name because people like to go ham over this dude. Y'all, I'm obsessed. I explained to him, hey, I'm pretty sure you have ADHD. And he's like, I never looked at that. I don't know what that is, etc., etc. So I started explaining it, and then he was just like, oh, you're describing me. And I was like, did you have this experience with Homer? And he's like, yeah, I did. I'm like, did you? And just more details and stuff. And he's just like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably what it is. And I think knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. You know, the more you know, then the more you can recognize where your shortcomings are going to be, start doing things against it. It's a rather long video, but I don't know why, for me, I don't feel like there's a stigma attached to it. It's just a state of being. Oh, so after I discovered the thing with my sister and my brother, I decided, wait, hold on. I know too many people in my family that have this. This is crazy. So I decided to Google it. Is there a genetic component to ADHD? And I find that they said something like 70 to 88%. If you're a parent that has ADHD, there's a 70 to 88% chance that your child will have ADHD. So then it was like, okay, now it makes sense. Because otherwise, how do so many people in my family have it? And of course, they function in different ways and different degrees. And I started looking at like some of their personality profiles. You know, the J types are extremely strict with like orderliness and all of these kinds of things. And then the P types are very, very much not. And gotta play by ear. And it just made so much sense. I shared this video because I think in sharing my experience, I think some people will understand and recognize that they had those similar experiences. I started talking to Jeff like even about like me being late with my homework and stuff, and just being like, waiting till the last week of class and then doing all the semester's work for that class on the last week of class, turning it all in, getting A's and being good. And he's like, oh yeah, that was me. It was me almost every year. He told me a story about one time when he did all the work because he was about to be in trouble, whatever, and he turned in all the work, great grades, and his teacher did it all and then glared at him like, nigga, you could have did this whole time. And I'm just like, bro, that's my life.
Did we just become best friends? Yup. Do you want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
So if some of those experiences are similar to you, because again, one of my brothers, the way he graduated high school, he enrolled in college, started taking extra classes, extra after school program, all of these things, doing all this catch up work in order to graduate on time, because he had been slacking off, but it never was challenging for him. He was just bored. And you'll find that for a lot of people that are just bored, it's not just that you're just bored, it's also attention deficit disorder. Because bored people will still stick through and just do whatever the assignments that are given to them, regardless of how boring they are. I feel like ADHD people have a bit of defiance in them, like, I just can't make myself, I'm not gonna make myself. And that, of course, has been my experience my whole life. I'm saying all this to say, I think understanding ADHD would help a lot of adults.
And I'm not insane. My mother had me tested.
Because probably a lot more people have it than realize. My generation is significantly more focused things like mental health and things like that. Whereas older generation would have just said, nah, you're lazy, and gave you a spanking and told you get it together. I'm going to get tested. I will let you guys know the results to confirm what I'm like 1,000,000,000% sure of. And then I think I'll continue on this journey and I'll keep on sharing with you guys, because I think there's going to be plenty of people in my circle and people who watch my content that know exactly what I'm talking about. Look up ADHD and hyperfocus. Look up ADHD and executive dysfunction. Watch some videos on that and see if it doesn't make sense to you. It's like mind-blowing. But once you know, you can do better. It doesn't need necessarily medicine, sometimes like stopping to meditate. I remember when I played I Want to Be the Guy, I kept failing and failing and failing over and over again. And I remember at one point I was just like, I know the answer, it's okay. And I paused and I meditated for like 30 seconds and just meditated. And I was like, okay, now I got it. And then of course, then I immediately passed. And then I talked to my boy inside, it's like, oh, I do that same thing. I didn't know that was a thing. And I Google and they start talking about these are ways of like helping you when you're like with ADHD, is to stop and focus and stop and meditate and pausing and those things, and to get your attention for longer bursts of time and stuff. And again, these are just things that I've just done my whole life. I saw a video talk about piling, and I was like, wait, what? I think I might just share that video with you if I can find it. But yeah, in it, there's a part where they said, oh, you're cleaning it. She's like, no, I'm not actually doing it. I'm just piling. It's where it gives me the feeling that I'm doing a thing, but I'm really just sorting it into piles so that I don't have to actually determine where I put everything. And it blew my mind. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was an ADHD thing. As she made that statement, I just looked pile, 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 pile. And I was like,
oh, damn. Now I see it. Now I see it.
It makes so much sense though, because yeah, if I don't want to actually deal with a thing, but I don't want it to be in complete disarray, then yeah, I organize it into a pile and then leave it there and then forget about that pile, or start to ignore that pile. It just becomes one with the room. That's the pile, and I just leave it there. You know what I mean? And then now I'm never going to think about it again. So I want to hear in the comments if any of you guys understand what I'm talking about, if you've had similar journeys, because I think ADHD is more common. They say it's only like 10% of the population. I think it's way more common. Obviously, self-diagnosis is kind of crazy because you do need a certain level of self-awareness to even be able to do that. I remember being gaslit by my boy inside who was just like, nah, I'm not gonna claim this, I'm not believing this until I get diagnosed.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Bruh, what are we talking about? Like, nigga, come on. Like, we gotta know. And he's just like, nah, nah, until you get diagnosed, you don't know. And I'm like, come on, bro. This should be peer reviewed at this point. But either way, I think it's a thing. I think it could be a superpower. I think it leads to certain talents in certain avenues. I can do research. When I'm like researching something, I'm researching, and that's the only thing I can think about. When I'm practicing the piano, I'm thinking about it. When I'm composing music, I'm so into that song during that time that it just allows me to complete so much. I think hyperfocus can be great. It's just, you got to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row so that you can make the best of it. Let me know your thoughts on this. I think we should start a dialogue around ADHD. Peace.
Escape and float into my